So you can see down here I've collected $246 in premium just in the month of May. That's pretty darn good in my opinion, especially because I'm only using like $2,000, $2,500 worth of collateral at a time. Alright, what is up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you didn't notice, I tried to make a few upgrades, so hopefully the thumbnail was a bit more attractive, and obviously there was a little intro video there after the initial blurb, so let me know down in the comments if you guys enjoyed that. I'm trying to step up the content game a little bit, so yeah, I hope you guys appreciated that. So today I'm going to do a little portfolio update to start things off. It's been a while since I've gone over stuff, and then I'm going to kind of do a second video on my cash secured puts and kind of walk you through how I look at those, how I use them myself, my own portfolio, my own investing, and kind of where that fits in. And then I'm also going to actually show you how I make a decision on a cash secured put and kind of how I execute it. I'll be buying it on Robinhood, so you guys can kind of follow along and see what I'm looking at, and I'll just kind of talk you through everything, and you'll be able to see a real life example, so then you can implement it for yourself as well. Alright, so just to kick things off, here is what the portfolio is looking like. As always, this is linked. I'll add a link to this. So if you guys haven't seen my new website, it is networthwell.com. I'll link it down below, but my portfolio is linked right here. As always, it's free to access. You guys don't need to pay anything. You know how much I hate that sort of thing. So it's right here for you guys to find. And yeah, so that's all I'm looking at is this spreadsheet right there, and you guys can go look at that whenever you want. So everything is largely unchanged. You can see everything here in the position equities and stuff. And then what accounts is my Robinhood individual account, and then my Roth and my traditional. I do have another Roth IRA with American funds that's like $5,000 that's not in the spreadsheet. It's just allocated in a few different mutual funds. So that money is out there, and that's 100% equities. So keep that in consideration when you're looking at these numbers as well. So just like I say, always VT is 20% of my portfolio. Cash is looking very high right now. And that's basically because I have a lot of cash on the sidelines that I'm using for cash secured puts. So this number looks very high, but it's actually generally long the market because I'm selling these puts. So I'll go over that strategy today. And when I'm selling these, it's usually using at least $2,000 of collateral at a time. So that number in cash looks high, but it's not actually cash. And then I've been adding to my Apple position lately. Other than that, I trimmed out a couple positions. I sold all the way out of Zillow. I like the company still. It's just a pretty inflated valuation, that sort of thing. So I did that with Zillow and Wayfair, I think. Mainly put that into Apple and then a little bit more in cash. So that is where we're sitting. We're sitting at a total portfolio value of $38,000, just over. And then you can see here I have this section that is tied to my options selling sheet. Obviously, this is looking pretty gruesome right now. I'm down $23 in premium since the end of February when I started tracking this, and it basically is because of this single covered call that I sold on Dropbox, or sorry, not Dropbox, 3D Systems, and it's actually kind of been multiple of these that I've rolled and lost quite a bit of money on. If you guys missed it, so this is 3D Systems is a position that I own a deep in the money leaps on, and then I sell covered calls on it, which is kind of a form of the poor man's covered call. It's my preferred version of the poor man's covered call, but I'll make a video about that coming up in the future. So here's what the deep in the money leaps is looking like, and basically 3D Systems has been on a total bender in the last month. And so I've kind of got upside down on a few of the covered calls that I sold, and you can see this one I had to buy back for almost $1,000. So that basically wiped out all of my options premium for the entire year. You can see if I take out those two, then I'm up $848. But no worries, I will get that money back. That's kind of the nature of the game, especially when you're doing it on small cap companies like 3D Systems or Dropbox or SunPower. These are all companies that can rise quickly. So that's just kind of the risk you take. Obviously, I'm not concerned about it, and it's going to happen. So when you sell covered calls, this is the sort of thing that can happen. So I'm rolling these. I could have just let them expire in the money and get my, basically have to execute my leaps to cover that position, but I decided I didn't want to do that, so I did go ahead and roll those because I want to keep exposure in my underlying. So I didn't have to do that, but that's what I decided to do. Okay, so jumping into this video, we're going to be talking about cash secured puts. So just so you guys know what I'm all about here, let's filter these on just cash secured puts. And how many is there? 1, 2, 3, about 7. Okay, so there's 7 cash secured puts I've sold since the beginning of May. Just this month is when I started tracking them. I've been doing this strategy for quite a while, but this is just what I've tracked. Okay, so you can see down here I've collected $246 in premium just in the month of May. That's pretty darn good in my opinion, especially because I'm only using like $2,000, $2,500 worth of collateral at a time. So you can see the annualized ROI on these are massive. And that's why I really like this strategy, okay? So this just shows what I've done recently. Like I said, you guys can all access this at any point. But I do practice what I'm about to preach and what I'm talking about. So a lot of the kind of preliminary stuff I already went over in this video here. I'll link this down in the description. I also have, let's see, on my website, if you go to the options section and then under advanced strategies, I kind of have my 3 favorite strategies on this sheet, and selling cash secured puts is number 2 on that list. So basically all the information that I have on the topic, you can go find right here. I'll link this specific page down in the description. And here's that same video that's linked. So yeah, all the information that I'm going to talk about today, you can go read at your own pace in this article. I think it lays it out pretty well. It's pretty short, but it's straightforward and simple, and I like trying to make this information as practical and applicable as possible. So that is there as well. And then I also have a blog article on it, where I kind of go over the same thing. So I'll link this down in the description as well. But just so you guys know that those resources are out there on my website. Like I said, it's all free. I'm just putting it out there. I know I talk fast in these videos, so I figured I'd put this all in one place and you guys could go access it whenever you wanted, especially if you get sick of listening to me talk. Okay, so enough background. Let's jump into the educational part of this video. And I need to freeze that on top. Okay, so with cash secured puts, this is kind of my 5-step process to it. Okay, I just figured this out. I didn't figure it out. I just wrote this down to try and make it simple and easy. So number 1, you're going to determine the cash amount you want to allocate towards cash secured puts. Okay, so for me, I'm using about $5,000 right now of a total portfolio value of about $45,000. So I'm only using about 10% of my portfolio to do this. And basically the reason why I like to have a lot of long exposure, especially in index funds and that sort of thing. So when you're selling cash secured puts, I think I have this in here, you're somewhat limiting your upside. You may never be assigned the shares you want. The stock may appreciate substantially without you having that long exposure. And this is a super real risk of selling cash secured puts, so I don't do this with my entire portfolio, okay? This is only a small portion of my portfolio, and this is the basic reason why, okay? My objective when I'm selling cash secured puts is to own the underlying stock, okay? When I sell, let's look at an example. When I sold this cash secured put on SunPower, it's the $22 strike. So I'm basically saying I would love to own SunPower. I would love to buy 100 shares of SunPower at $22 per share. Okay, when I sold this, it was trading for about $23.50 per share. It's a bit more than that now. yeah, it's at 23.85 now. But anyway, when I sold this, I was like, I would love to buy SunPower at $22 per share. It's not there right now, so I might as well collect some premium in the meantime. Okay, so that's the mentality I want you guys to have when you're selling cash secured puts. It's not solely just to collect the biggest return that you can. I could be selling cash secured puts on the triple daily bull semiconductor ETF, but that is not my objective. Isn't to collect premium, okay? But for me, I'm getting paid to wait patiently for these stocks to come down to the levels that I want to buy them at. Okay, so SunPower is at $23.50 right now. I do own a few shares of it, but I don't really want to buy any more at this price. But I would love to buy some at $22 per share. So being willing to commit to that, I will collect $33 in premium in the next, I guess I sold this in a week, so I'll collect $33 in premium over the next 4 days. If SunPower drops below $22, then I'll pick up those shares. If not, then hey, at least I made some money in the meantime. Okay, that is my basic mentality for selling cash secured puts. Notice I talk about planning on assignment on every single one of these. That is the biggest thing with selling cash secured puts. Sell them on stocks that you love at prices that you'd love to buy them at. Okay, that's the entire objective, and taking that commitment and being willing to buy those shares when they are falling. That is why people will pay you the premium, basically to lock yourself into that obligation. Say I'm committed to $5,000 in my portfolio, being committed to the cash secured puts. I'm not going to be able to sell puts on Apple. Okay, I can't sell it at the $50 strike. I probably could if it was a couple of years out, but the premiums are not going to be there. Okay, so that kind of limits you. The amount of cash you're going to allocate to the strategy limits you to what stocks you can actually sell puts on. So for me, I'm selling them on 3D Systems and Dropbox, and more recently SunPower. Okay, and then as soon as you find a stock that works, so say we found SunPower, this is typically what I do, is I'm selling 1 to 2 weeks out, a delta around negative 0.25. Like I said, this is just kind of a ballpark number. It doesn't have to be exact, but that's usually where I end up looking. And then I'm making sure the liquidity and the volume's good. In case I do want to close it or whatever, I want to make sure I'm getting good fills. And so if a stock, if it has an options chain that you can sell on, but the liquidity and the volume isn't there, then I wouldn't bother. I'd just move on, try to find something else. And then I make sure the premium's decent. It's actually worth my while. And again, plan on assignment. And then for the most part with my cash secured puts, I let them expire worthless. This one you can see I bought back this morning. So initially I sold this for 48 cents, and then I bought it back for 22 cents about an hour ago. And so the 26-cent difference is mine. I usually, like I said, let these expire worthless, but sometimes I do buy them back. If they move quickly in my favor, I usually just buy them back and then I'll sell a new one. So that is totally up to you. I'll make a video and a post about that later on, about when to close options, but generally for me it's kind of a feel thing and it doesn't really matter too much. So whatever you're comfortable with, the more you do it, the more you're going to understand what you like to do. So don't be overly concerned going into it if you are going to roll it or if you're just going to close it or let it expire worthless. You can kind of figure that out as you go. All right, so enough background. Let's jump into me actually selling one of these things. Let me make this thing go away. So I am going to sell one on SunPower. Like I just showed, I bought one of these back earlier, and I'm still short one in my Fidelity account, but it should expire worthless at this point. And I'm fine taking the exposure on SunPower. I like this company a lot. Okay. So let's get into this. I'm going to go ahead and hit trade SunPower options. I'm going to look a week out to June 4. It is Thursday the 27th right now, so I'm going to look just over a week out. You can see the share price at $23.70. I would guess about $22.50 is going to give me a delta right around what I like. So I'm going to sell one of these two. I just bought this one back this morning because I wanted to roll to the 2250, but I wanted to make this video so I could actually show you how I do it. So, like I said, SunPower, it's a company that I like. 2250, that's a strike price that I'm very comfortable buying 100 shares of SunPower with. It would give me the exposure to the company that I like. If I do get assigned, like I said, I'm planning on getting assigned. So this is going to use $2,250 worth of collateral. You can see my buying power here easily covers that. And I'm going to collect 35 cents for it. The bid and ask are somewhat wide. The volume and open interest isn't great on these. If you look at the $22 strike, the volume, open interest is a little better. I'd like to see these numbers higher, so I'm guessing I'm going to try and split the price here. I guess I'll just put it in for 34 cents. I'm probably not going to get a fill right away, but I'll let it go for a little while, and I'm going to try and get that fill. So since the volume and open interest isn't great on these, I'd prefer to see open interest over 100, but the volume's actually decent at 16 contracts, so this should go up over the next week or so. So I'm comfortable with doing this. And then, like I said, so here's the collateral, or sorry, here's the credit that I'm receiving. I'm selling to open a put and receiving credit for that. Okay, and here's the collateral, $2,250, 100 shares at the 2250 strike. So I'm going to submit that and placed. I'm guessing this is going to take a while to get a fill. You can see my ask right there, and I'm just going to kind of let it ride. So that is me executing one of these on Robinhood, and I can go ahead and update my spreadsheet now. I'm actually going to wait and make sure that this gets a fill, so I'll highlight this once I do get that confirmed. And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's primarily gentlemen. My channel is basically a giant sausage fest. As always, feel free to comment down below if you have any questions, that sort of thing. But hopefully you have the general idea of what I'm thinking when I make these trades and my thought process behind them. Like I said, I think these are excellent basically resources for you. Down on my website, I talk a little bit slower. Well, I don't talk at all, but you can read it at your own pace. Hopefully you kind of understand where my mindset is when I'm selling these cash secured puts. If you found this content useful, please hit the like button and comment and boost up my engagement, and subscribe if you're new and want to see more like it. It really helps out the channel a lot, so I appreciate all your guys' support, and I honestly can't believe that I'm at 591 subscribers. That is pretty crazy, so I'm very, very grateful for all of your support. That's all I've got. I will catch you guys in the next video. I'm guessing the next one's going to be on writing covered calls, so be on the lookout for that.